React with all your insight. Review what feels so right. Criticize the light. Movie shining bright. My opinion is mine. Like a never-ending call. Watch them arise and fall. Stories big and small. Screens light up the hall. I will say it all. React with all your sight. Review the day and night. Criticizes the right. Shows that steal the light. My opinion stands so free. Like a storm upon the sea. Watch them rise and fall. Stories big and small. Scribes light up the hall. I will say it all. Quest, react, review, criticize. Quest. React, review. Criticize. Quest. React with all your insight. Review what feels so right. Criticize the light. Movie shining bright. My opinion is mine. Like a never-ending call. Watch them arise and fall. Stories big and small. Screens light up the hall. I will say it all. React with all your sight. Review the day and night. Criticizes the right. Shows that steal the light. My opinion stands so free. Like a storm upon the sea. Watch them rise and fall. Stories big and small. Scribes light up the hall. I will say it all. Quest, react, review, criticize. Quest.
Hey everyone, how's it going? How's it going? I hope you can hear me. I've had a few issues with Streamlabs. Every time I started the program, for some reason it would always go for the setup screen, which is what you usually only get when you when you first start using it. I think I've solved the problem, but I don't know if you can hear me. Everything's looking okay. Just looking okay. Yeah, looks like it's going to be okay. Looks good. Looks good. Hey, Steve, that old Yorkshire geek. Busy drawing for my son, but lurking. It's always good to have a lurk. Lurking's always good. Just switch that to live chat so I'll get them in order. Yep. Thank you for letting us know, Steve. It's great to hear. So yeah, we're going to be getting into Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, season 3. We are halfway through the season, and oh boy. So yeah, interesting. You've been asleep all day, and now you get up and start messing around, huh? So the reason the stream went this long for intro was actually because the dog wanted to go out. So I let the dog out, and obviously he came back in, closed the door, sat down, and I was about to go into the main scene. And what happens? He goes back to the door because he went out for one. Now then he decided that he wanted to go out for two. Now he's scratching around the futon. Yeah. Well, but we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it's okay. But yeah, so we're going to talk about Strange New Worlds season 3. As I said, we are halfway through the season, and all I can hear is Bailey in the background. Bloody dog. There you go. I can have a t-shirt with bloody dog on it and a picture of Bailey. That might actually be a pretty good idea. I'll have to take a picture of Bailey and get it changed to like an anime style image or something maybe. That might actually be a very good idea. May well be a very good idea. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, so before we get into it, if you want to support the channel, please do click the link pinned in the chat for the tipping page. It's entirely up to you. I am not going to force you to do it. I am not begging. I'm just letting you know there is a way that you can support me should you choose to, because YouTube don't like monetizing small channels until they get to a certain point. And I think that's wrong. And, it's entirely up to you. Because I like the idea of giving you the option to do it. If you do tip, you can leave a message. You put in a message, and it will text to speech on screen, and I can answer or respond to any message. Also, there is a link to my merch store. It is with Spreadshirt, I believe. Yeah, it's a Spreadshirt store, which at some point I will be closing because I do have a better store, which has a lot more availability, as well as facilities for being printed and distributed in other countries. So it's entirely up to you, should you choose to. But yeah, and besides, I need to test the widget. I think I've solved the issue, but I won't know until something happens. But anyway, I'm not asking, I'm not begging, I'm just letting you know what's up. So we're going to, firstly, it's my opinion, and these are my thoughts, that, Strange New Worlds Season 3, I thought to myself, maybe it'll be better. But, no. It's worse. And they have even made it worse by doing certain things. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do a review or a reaction to the episodes because there's no point. There's plenty of people doing it, and I don't tend to get enough views to warrant doing it. I'm hoping that next week, though, in case you have forgotten, on the... Let me just check the date. I think it's the 13th. Is it the 13th? Let me check. On the 13th of August, that is next Wednesday, we are getting probably the first 2 episodes of Alien Earth. Now, if you want me to do reactions or live reaction to that, I can do a live stream watch party if you choose for Alien Earth. I think they are dropping 2 episodes. I mean, it is on Disney Plus for us in the UK, so yes, it's probably going to be 2 episodes, which is a shame. I have been anticipating this Alien Earth, and I am looking forward to it. Everything I have seen, I haven't seen a lot of the stuff about it. I haven't watched too many videos about it because I don't want to ruin it for myself. Because I love the Alien franchise. I absolutely hate Alien Resurrection. I don't think I'm alone. I think there's a lot of fans of the Alien franchise that would agree with me that it is not a very good film. I mean, yeah, it had Winona Ryder in it, but that was besides the point. It just didn't make sense in universe. But I guess they needed a plot somehow, and they came up with that. Yeah, let's make the alien more human and give it a human pregnancy. Yeah, brilliant idea. No. I also, this is obviously, we're going to be talking about Strange New Worlds soon. But the fact that Alien Earth is starting next week on Wednesday is a big thing for me because I've really been looking forward to it. And obviously it's made me go on a tangent and start talking about Alien. But I also had a thing about Alien 3. When Alien 3 first came out, the theatrical version, I never liked it. But when I saw the director's cut, or special edition, whichever one it was, I actually loved it. Because it made more sense. Because originally, the alien was going to birth out of the dog, right, in the theatrical version. But originally, as shown in the director's cut, it actually came from a cow or an ox. Which made more sense because I could never understand how the alien would look like that. I mean, I know the alien would take in part of the DNA from whatever creature it was impregnated in, and it made more sense. But yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, the special editions of any of the Alien films are so much better than the theatricals. For Alien, it didn't really matter which one you watch. I always watch the special editions or the director's cuts if I can help it, which is why I'm a bit annoyed that only the theatrical versions are available on Disney. But I haven't checked lately, and I don't think Disney are going to put the special editions or director's cuts out there on their platform, which is a shame. I think it's a huge shame. But yeah, so. But now let's get to the point. Let's get to Star Trek: Strange New Worlds season 3. So as we've had the 5th episode this week, and yeah. Oh, you liked Alien Resurrection. That kind of makes sense because we tend to like different things, and it's entirely your prerogative to what one you like. I mean, we're all we're individuals, so. We're not in a utopian society where everyone likes the same thing and everyone hates the same thing. So, yeah, it's freedom of speech, freedom of expression. Well, the illusion. Anyway, no, I could go into politics, but I'm not going to talk about politics. Not at all. If I can help it, because I don't want to get censored. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, I want to talk about something that happened in the most recent episode. So episode 5. Obviously, if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry if I spoil it. But I mean, it was a Star Trek episode. It felt very Star Trek. But the problem is that for this entire season, I think that they've been doing a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense in Strange New Worlds. Obviously, we had Q appear, but not as not in physical form, in non-corporeal form, as an energy being. I think that was episode 4. Was that episode 4 or episode 3? It's confusing. It all blends together, right? But I mean, I seem to remember someone on a video saying that for episode 5, it's apparently it's the origin of the Q. Now I don't believe that one little bit, and I think you're a fool for believing that, because they wouldn't have 2 episodes or 3 episodes or whatever. No, I think it's 2. I think there was only 2 episodes, wasn't there? They wouldn't have the 2 episodes one after the other about Q, and the problem is, this is a major issue for me. Right, the centering around Spock's relationships, and the fact that now he's in a relationship with Laan Noonien Singh. What the hell? For a start, Laan Noonien Singh, I don't think she ever existed in lore or canon. I think it was in was it an extended universe novel or something that she may have been mentioned in. I don't know, maybe. But I mean, it's I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I will rant and I will go off topic because, like I've said before, I don't do scripted content. I don't make scripts for my videos. I've been told that perhaps I should start doing it, but I don't want to, because this way you're getting me, the real me. This is the real thoughts and real feelings about things. Whereas if I scripted it, I mean, it's like I feel it would be fake, right? But with this entire season, I think it's just been not terrible, but it's been stupid. It's been ridiculous. Because it to me it does feel like they've continued what they did for the first 2 seasons, and it's mostly going to be about Spock and his relationships, which I think is pathetic, because Star Trek, deserves better than that. And I don't know. I don't know if I can express my true feelings about it that much, because I don't think I can find the words. But I feel like at least 2 of this season's episodes have just mocked lore and mocked canon, for no specific reason, just because they can. For instance, was it episode 4 where they had the holodeck and they were trapped? It felt like they were just copy and pasting parts from a TNG episode. Because what was the episode? Was it Elementary My Dear Data or something? Elementary Dear Data? I can't remember if that was the title, but it was the Next Generation episode where Data asks the computer to create a villain that will challenge him. Now I feel that they've copy and pasted that for, I think it was episode 4, because I think La'an gets stuck in an experimental holodeck, which looks a lot like a Next Generation holodeck, which it shouldn't, because it's supposed to be experimental, whereas in TNG it's the final product, right? But the way that they wrote that she requests a story that will challenge her abilities, that sounds like they can't think of anything. So what they're doing is they're going back, they're looking at TNG episodes and they're just copying it, essentially. It's what it feels like. And the last previous two episodes, it felt so bad, so much like they were mocking the originals and lore and canon. Because was it episode 3? I think it was episode 3. Is it episode 3? Yeah, I think it was episode 3. They were. Right, I'm trying to think. They're not very memorable. I think it was episode 3. Well, I'll carry on talking about episode 4 because what they did in episode 4, it felt the opening sequence. It was like they were mocking TOS. They had the poor dialogue, the poor story, the bad set for the bridge and stuff like that, and it kind of felt that they were mocking and disrespecting TOS in that episode. Because obviously TOS suffered when it first came out because it had basically no budget. I think it was originally the set was originally built in one of the producers or someone's garage, in their home garage, because they didn't have anywhere to do it. They didn't have a studio, so they converted their garage into a studio. If I'm remembering correctly, I might be wrong. Take it with a pinch of salt, but that's what I remember reading and hearing in a documentary, that the set was originally someone's garage. I think that was mainly in the episodes where at the beginning, where you pretty much never left the bridge, basically, unless you went on the array mission. And obviously they could switch and change things out to create the corridors and stuff. So the fact that they were mocking that in the beginning of the episode, it was stupid. But bringing Q into it, I didn't like that at all. It's almost like they had. There's been like 2 episodes in a row that had energy beings, right? Strange New Worlds has just been ridiculously stupid in the way it's been written, the way it's been directed, the way it's being portrayed as prime timeline, when it clearly isn't. Because I think, hasn't someone said that the Discovery is not the prime timeline anymore, which means that Strange New Worlds isn't. Which means Academy won't be, and I can't believe they're still going ahead with Academy. I think the merger has supposedly gone through. Skydance and Paramount have now merged. If I'm hearing correctly, the merger has been put through and has succeeded. And then they're coming out saying that Scott Bakula may appear in an upcoming series. I hope that's not true, because if it's anything to do with anything that's around now, it could be. No, here's a thought. If they're saying that in a new series, Scott Bakula may appear, then I'm concerned that might be Academy, because I think Academy might have 2 seasons, mightn't it? Because Academy season 2 has actually been cancelled because they don't want it. I think Skydance have actually started the process of, booting Kurtzman to the curb. So there shouldn't be any announcements of any new shows while Kurtzman is still there, I hope. Because he has completely ruined Star Trek. And the problem is the Star Trek fans are divided. It's inevitable that fans get divided in a franchise, because you're going to get people that will complain about not being true to to canon, to lore, previous shows, in a franchise. It's happened with Star Wars as well, hasn't it? So, but with Star Trek has a larger following. Well, it did have a larger following at one point than Star Wars, because Star Wars was just movies. it had a few movies out, and Star Trek had multiple shows, multiple seasons. Each show had 7 seasons except for one. These are the original shows, so this is up to Enterprise, and it was just ridiculous. So Steve saying Academy season 2 is supposed to start filming this month. We'll see if it actually does. Yeah, that's what I mean. I've heard that it's been cancelled. I think Jay has actually put a video out saying that it's been cancelled. For the Tachyon podcast, Tachyon Pulse podcast. But I mean, gotta love Jay, but you know there are things that he does on his channel that I just don't agree with. A lot of it is it's just I don't know. Anyway, well I'm not talking about that anymore. So if Scott Bakula does come back, I'm hoping that it will be for a movie. Because we haven't had a Star Trek movie since Beyond? Was it Star Trek Beyond is the last Star Trek movie we had, except for Section 31. Before anyone says Section 31, Section 31 was trash. It is not Star Trek, and it doesn't deserve to be put under the Star Trek banner. Just saying. No, Steve, he's probably going to say, I love that show. I love that movie. But yeah, so I think if Scott Bakula comes back, he deserves to come back for maybe a reset of the franchise. Now, what I would like to see if Scott Bakula comes back is maybe the opening sequence is the decommissioning ceremony of the NX-01 refit. When it becomes, when it's, I don't know what Enterprise will come next. There could be a huge gap. I mean, a Constitution class it was effing awful. All right, okay, so Section 31 was as awful as I would say. I think I did the video on it. I think, mind you, I think I've taken a lot of the Star Trek stuff off. I can't remember what I deleted and what I haven't. I was tired at the time. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, because I think that would make more sense. It could be like President Archer, decommissioning ceremony, Enterprise NX-01 refit. Because I don't know about you guys, but I would love to see the design, the Enterprise NX-01 refit on screen. And it could even look different, right? It could have a more TOS style saucer section, because it could be refitted twice. So it could have the secondary hull, or the engineering section, as a lot of people like to call it, and then the hull plating would stay the same. But then later on there would be another refit, because they'll have a new material for the hull plating, so they would replace the hull plating, and then we get the lighter, smoother hull plating that we get on the TOS Enterprise, TOS Constitution. Right? That makes sense. And it can be the decommissioning ceremony for the Enterprise. And we can have the Columbia and the Enterprise refits, both there. I mean, the Columbia might be... Well, mind you, I think the Columbia has an accident later on, doesn't it? I mean, I think in the story arc, there was supposed to be an incident where the Columbia ends up crashing, if I remember rightly. But that was in the original extended show plan, if I remember rightly. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, I think I think it would be a great idea for it to be a movie, especially considering I liked Enterprise. Don't get me wrong, but the time travel stuff, the temporal Cold War stuff, that was ridiculous. I hated the temporal Cold War stuff, because from the moment the first temporal Cold War episode appears, well, wait, no. From the very first episode, the temporal Cold War is involved. And they even say in the show that the Enterprise was supposed to have been destroyed during an incident. But, you know, that is ridiculous. That is interesting. Because that would say to me that the very first episode split Enterprise into an alternate timeline. Because if Enterprise was supposed to have been destroyed, every event before that, that was part of the Temporal Cold War, shifted the timeline away from its original path. So, which also suggests to me that Archer may have supposedly originally died in the original in the Prime timeline. There's potential for that. If the Enterprise was supposed to have been destroyed, then who's to say that any member of the crew would have survived? Because that was a sudden thing. Because if you remember, it was it Sarek? I can't remember his name. Who was the Suliban's name? What was the Suliban's name? Sarek? I can't remember his name. Why can't I remember his name? It's ridiculous. But he actually saves the Enterprise in that, was it the Ion Storm? Yeah, because he literally does that, and then Trip comes along and says, you know, we shouldn't be here. Silic, that's it, Silic. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, Silic saves the Enterprise. And that, I think, is the actual episode where Daniels comes along and says, well, history recorded Enterprise being destroyed at that point. So it had not only been shifted already from episode 1 into a separate timeline, but also later on, when Silic saves the Enterprise, the divergence becomes a much greater one. So you could argue that the timeline created by Enterprise is actually the Discovery timeline, which a lot of people might say, you know, might agree with, but you may disagree. But that's your prerogative. These are just my thoughts. These are thoughts that I'm having right now, and opinions. But I think it would make sense if they go that route, because the original Star Trek fans, didn't all like Enterprise to start with, because of the temporal stuff, Cold War stuff, and also the fact that in canon, the NX-01 didn't exist. The first starship called Enterprise in the Star Trek lore was actually a Daedalus class, which is a science class, which was the big ball with the stick that stuck, you know, and the secondary hull and two nacelles. That was supposed to be the original Enterprise. Beyond the previous burns like the aircraft carrier and blah blah blah, but up to the end. But the NX-01 was not originally supposed to exist in canon, because when Starfleet was first created, there was supposed to have been a war with the Romulans, where they never saw each other's faces. It was all that, you know, a lot like modern day war, previous World War II warfare. You didn't see what you were shooting at, other than what you could see through the window, essentially. I mean, you could see a Romulan ship, you can identify a Romulan ship, but no one knew anything about them. You know, just think Balance of Terror in TOS. They didn't know what Romulans looked like, and when they found out, they then, you know, one of the crew members was like, "Oh, they look exactly like Vulcans." And then later on, we find out that Romulans and Vulcans are actually the same species. They just branched off. Romulans left, the Vulcans remained. Yeah. So, Strange New Worlds can be a direct representation of the Enterprise timeline splitting away from the Prime, which would make sense. But at the same time, the fact that Daniels is in the was from the original Prime timeline, comes back and literally says, history, time records Enterprise should have been destroyed, then it's a contradiction, because then Enterprise, the NX-01, would have existed in the Prime timeline, right? So it's a confusing thing. It's a contradiction. It doesn't make an awful lot of sense when you look at it as if, say, well, Enterprise existed in the Prime timeline because Daniels is from the future in the Prime timeline. But, there are other things. Has an agent gone back in time and given them ideas to design the NX-01 in the first place? It's possible, I guess. But I mean, I loved Enterprise, but there are a lot of holes in a lot of the stuff since Enterprise. But yeah, I know we're supposed to be talking about Strange New Worlds, but it's one of those things. I mean, this is what happens during our life. You go off topic, you branch off. But it does link. If you look at it the way that I just described it, whereas Enterprise split off into a separate timeline, that led to Discovery and Strange New Worlds being different. It makes sense. But when you look at the original idea, if I remember correctly, well, I do remember correctly, when I first started watching Enterprise, when it first aired on TV, it was just Enterprise based on Star Trek. Then, after, I think was it season 2, it became Star Trek Enterprise. So they switched it around, because then they decided, we're just going to call it Star Trek Enterprise. When it was just Enterprise, and I think it was actually supposed to originally be a separate timeline, so it wasn't meant to be Prime. That's what I think. And it was supposed to be Star Trek, Star Trek crew going on a trek exploring, but it all got tied up in the temporal Cold War, which I still think is a ridiculous idea. Because you would think that the time agents would be there to protect the specifics that creates the Federation in the first place. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense. Or does it? Interesting. Yeah, I thought I'd just announce this quickly, because I am writing a book. I started writing a science fiction novel. That is on hold at the moment. And I've actually started on a fantasy, which is cool. I've done the first page today. I know it's not something that you guys would be expecting from us. Became Star Trek Enterprise in season 3. There we go. See, even Steve has confirmed that it was originally called Enterprise, and it was only based on Star Trek by Gene Roddenberry. Yeah. I thought I was right. I mean, I do know some things. I do remember some stuff. But yeah, I'm actually writing an unusual, a strange thing for me, because my new book is going to be a fantasy based in a medieval style world. Not necessarily. I haven't decided whether I'm going to add magic to it. I may add magic to it, but I have a plan. It's going to be a series of books. Each book, 100 pages, I think. I'm going to aim for 100 pages per book. It's going to be at least 3 books, a 3-book series. So it's going to be at least a trilogy. May go beyond that. I don't know. It depends on how the story goes. But yeah, if you guys like that idea, let me know somehow. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, back to Strange New Worlds. Hopefully, back to Strange New Worlds. Hopefully, I don't drift off again. it's not easy when you're doing your own live broadcast without an original plan. A lot of my lives have been impromptu, unless I did well, except for the Lost in Space. I am going to finish Lost in Space. Don't worry. I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do episode 10 of season 1 tomorrow. But I'll do it a bit earlier. I'll do it around 6 o'clock UK time. And then on Tuesday, I think, I will do 5 episodes of season 2. And then on Thursday I'll do and the second half of the series, which I think makes more sense. But yeah, so it will be done. I will be doing it. Don't worry. But shit happens. Let's just say shit happens. So yeah. But I don't agree with what they've done in Strange New Worlds. I don't agree with any of what they've done. Except I do admit that the first episode was pretty damn good. The first episode of season 1, the pilot episode, was actually really good, in my opinion. But I have a problem with the Enterprise. Now, if I remember rightly, the TOS Enterprise, the original Constitution, could not enter an atmosphere. Now, if a ship cannot enter an atmosphere, how can it be visible from the ground without a telescope? We saw it in the pilot episode of season 1. And I think we even saw it in yesterday's episode. So the most recent episode, you could see the Enterprise from the ground on the planet. They looked up, and there it was. It's a very low orbit. I mean, that planet must have a very thin atmosphere, right? Compared to Earth. But now, you could argue that the NX-01 entered the gas giants, entered the atmosphere of a gas giant. You can't argue that, but the NX-01 was a lot smaller, and in comparison, it may a weight and size variable may have made it so that it was actually quite aerodynamic in its design, because it was very slick compared to most starship designs for Federation, right? It's very slick. The Enterprise enters the atmosphere in the TOS episode where they beam that fighter pilot aboard. That's true. That is true. That is very true. I forgot about that. Yeah. That is true. I completely forgot about that episode. Huh. I am proven wrong for that one. But I do think that they had issues as a result of that, didn't they? They had issues because they do. I think Scotty does say in that episode that the Enterprise is not designed to enter an atmosphere. If I remember it correctly, I can't remember the exact dialogue. It's been so long since I've watched TOS, which is part of the reason why, before I started the Lost in Space, that's why Star Trek was on the list, because I haven't watched TOS in such a long time. But then, it's not good for the ship. No, it's not good for the ship. I think if I remember rightly, they had to increase the structural integrity of the ship so it wouldn't break apart, right? If I'm remembering correctly, I mean, the Enterprise was not like Voyager, because Voyager was designed so that it could land on a planet. That's why we see it on a planet. being retrofitted, repaired, and stuff like that. So, yeah, though it wasn't designed to enter the atmosphere, it could, under extreme stress to the hull and the superstructure, I suppose. But it's certain. I don't think it could stay within the atmosphere for a long period of time. I'm guessing because of the gravitational force and stuff like that. If it was designed to enter the atmosphere, it would be a slightly different design. Because I think the one of the reasons that Voyager could enter the atmosphere is because of the design of her saucer section. It wasn't actually flat, and it wasn't oval in a way that we've seen most ships. Because it was actually at the time they didn't know about it that well. But if you compare it to a lot of large cargo planes, they have a large smooth belly on large cargo planes, right? Specifically military ones. So you got the Galaxy C-17. Is it the C-17 Galaxy? Was it? Anyway, but the Galaxy Starlifter has quite a smooth, flat belly. Now the idea is that the belly is actually part of the lift for the aircraft in order to get that much weight off the ground. It's not. It's smooth, and it's not just smooth. It actually follows the contours of an aero. I forget the terminology, but it's designed into it that part of the belly is actually fairly aerodynamic. The airflow underneath it actually gives lift like the wings. I forget the term they use. On a side note, I saw something on YouTube, and I saw the title of a video, and it was a fungus that is growing on the elephant foot in Chernobyl. So I took a look at this. I didn't watch the video. I actually done a search, and there's actually a fungus growing on the elephant's foot in Chernobyl reactor 4. Go figure. And just to update everyone, in case you haven't followed the Chernobyl incident, obviously, I think reactor 2 exploded, reactor 4 melted down. The entire place was radioactive, shut down, evacuated. There are people living in Chernobyl, people that have lived there since the disaster. Yes, life finds a way. But at the same time, you could say that life finds a way. But the way I look at it, we didn't understand radiation properly. I think that the fact that we misunderstood what happens with radioactivity, I think we definitely do not know as much as we thought we knew about radiation. You say that life finds a way. Animals are thriving in Chernobyl. Well, I say Chernobyl, but it's the city. The buildings are being taken over by nature. There are trees, there's grass, everything is growing. But anyway, what else is there that we don't think we think we know so much about, which we don't? We know nothing about. I think is it a black fungus? I think it's a black fungus that is growing on the most radioactive part in reactor 4. For a start, how did it even get there? It's weird. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. But well, you guys, what do you guys think of season 3 of Strange New Worlds so far? We are halfway through, so why don't we take a minute and you guys let us know what you think? Because, like I've said, I can give you my opinion, I can give you my thoughts, but at the end of the day, I can't make you, and see it from my point of view. I mean, if you like Strange New Worlds season 3 so far, that is absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. Great, great to know. But I mean, if you like me, you think it's a bit too much Spock centered, and and it's just one big mockery of either the what's come before or the fans. Because I mean, a lot of us do think that, specifically last week's episode, which was I forget what the name it was because it's not that memorable. The one where they were trapped in, where La'an is trapped. Not impressed with episode 1 to 4, but you really enjoyed episode 5. Fair play, fair play. But I do think it's lack of imagination though. It's something that we're seeing a lot these days. They're going back to stories that have been said before, and I mean, I know it's happened in Star Trek before. I mean, there's been some crossover where the stories or scripts are very, very similar, very, very similar. Even got the same aliens involved and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's understandable, but yeah, I hate what they've done with the Gorn. They've turned them into the Magog from Andromeda. I hate that they, if there is a law forbidding genetic manipulation or eugenics, then why does it happen so often? We've seen it happen in, was it episode 1 or no, episode 2? I think it was episode 2, wasn't it? Where they went to get that flower. I think it was episode 2. They went to look for that flower, and the Klingons decided to go there and try and stop them from getting the flower. And that's the zombie episode. I think that was episode 2. Was that episode 2? Or was that episode 3? Can't remember. Very memorable, this series. Especially this season. Very memorable. Not really. Not really. I slept. It was episode 3, yeah. That's what I thought. I find it interesting that in this week's episode, so in episode 5, La'an takes point, and Chapel takes point. Oh, there's something. Now, if you think back to episode 1 of season 3, and then at season 2, you look at Chapel. Yes, she's fairly attractive. I'm not going to argue that, but there is a huge difference, not just the longer hair, between last season and episode 1 of season 3, and episode 2 of season 3 onwards. Has she put on weight, or is it my imagination? She looks like she's put on a bit of weight. I originally thought that maybe she had a baby. Maybe she's had a baby in between. But then I looked it up, and she hasn't had a baby. And I thought to myself, well, something's different. I mean, she certainly looks a little bit bigger. If that makes sense. I don't know. I mean, I'm not attacking her for putting on weight. I mean, fair. It's up to her. I mean, maybe it's her choice to put on a little bit of weight. I mean, personally, I don't care much for extremely skinny girls, or women, I should say, not girls. As a habit, I never grew out of calling women girls. Doesn't make sense. I'll have to try and say women. I was fucking with you then. I was screwing around, pretending to say girls when I meant women, when I was saying women. Anyway, I do think that she has put on a little bit of weight. She still looks good though. Still looks good. And I'm wondering if that's why for at least 2 or 3 episodes you didn't really see much of her from below, sort of. That make do you know? because I think for at least two of the episodes, all you see is this. You don't see more. If that makes sense. I don't know if you noticed it at all. Um, Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's mostly in her posture because you do get a side view of her standing in the corridor of the Enterprise in episode 5. But I mean, it does to me. It seems as if she may have put on a little bit of weight because her posture has changed as well. Which that's what I originally thought, because I originally thought that she might have had a baby because her posture had changed as well as her waist or hips or whatever you want to say. I'm not being negative. It's an observation. A good-looking woman puts on a little bit of weight. It's noticeable, right? I don't know if you guys have noticed it or not, but it is an observation, not an attack. I'm not complaining. Yeah, and also it's evident a little bit under under the chin. You notice her face is a bit rounder than normal, and yes, she's got slightly longer hair. Her hair is touching her shoulders now, which is fine. It makes sense. There's been a time difference, several months, I think it was, a few months. But I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. And you honestly didn't notice. You honestly didn't. You're gonna look back at it now, aren't you? You're gonna look back and you're gonna think, has she? Because I think she has put on a little bit of weight, and like I said, I'm not attacking her for that. I'm not complaining. She still looks good. I still don't think that she looks as good as people think she looks. If that makes sense, it might not make sense to you guys. I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense. But yeah. And honestly, I mean that new nurse. I mean, honestly, I didn't think he was going to go on for for that long. I thought he's actually just he's a red shirt in a white uniform. That's what I honestly thought. He's a red shirt in a white uniform. He doesn't seem to have the temperament to go on in Starfleet. So, yeah. Maybe she's been eating a ton of Corby's Irish stew. Yeah, maybe. It's those damn dumplings. They do it to you every time. Yeah. I mean, I thought that she was supposed to leave the Enterprise and not come back. I thought that's what the original one was. Because I mean, she doesn't mean she was supposed to leave the Enterprise and not come back until those episodes in TOS where she comes back. If I remember rightly, I mean, I might be completely wrong. I might not be remembering correctly. I don't know, but that's the way I seem to remember it. Or maybe I should watch TOS again. Um, hmm. Maybe she's been having too many kangaroo burgers, right? Hmm. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think of that. But I mean, I noticed it, but I might be the only one. I might be imagining it. I don't know. Um, but it certainly, to me, it looks that way. Hmm. And Laan, oh my god, a character that should be nowhere near any show that's set before the Wrath of Khan. or even before. Well, no, it'll be before Wrath of Khan. If any show or movie set before the Wrath of Khan should not have a sing, should not have an onion sing in it. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. I always hated the idea of having an onion sing on the Enterprise, yet alone as chief of security. Really? Uh, for an organization like the Federation, or even the United Earth, you know, having laws and regulations, of banning and not allowing anyone with eugenics involved in their life. If they're genetically altered, it comes under eugenics, and it's banned, which means and they're not allowed to serve in Starfleet. They certainly are allowed to allow people with altered DNA to serve in Starfleet. It's happened ever since, ever since DS9 with Bashir having altered DNA to save his life as a child, well, to make him smarter, not to save his life, but to make him smarter as a child, and then become a doctor, and Starfleet found out, and what did they do? They tried to get rid of him because it's a law, it's a regulation that states that they are not allowed to serve in Starfleet if their genes have been altered in any way. But for some reason, in Strange New Worlds, how many members of the crew have altered DNA? Jesus Christ! And now, is it Pike's girlfriend? What's her name? I can't remember her name. Captain. I can't remember her name. Why is that? Because she's not important. Has Batel? There we go. Captain Batel has altered DNA because her DNA has been merged with the Gorn DNA of the baby Gorn that were in her back. It's interesting that they were in her back when previously we've seen it in other places, parts of the body. So why was it in her back? Doesn't make sense. I hate the Strange New Worlds Gorn. They're not Gorn. They're Magog. And if you want to hear my thoughts on that, then please check out my video on the Strange New Worlds Gorn, on Star Trek and the Gorn. It's up to you guys if you want to watch that, where I just go about talking about the variants of the Gorn through the shows, because we don't really see them that often. I don't think we ever saw the Gorn in TNG. It was only TOS and Enterprise, wasn't it, that we saw the Gorn? I think that's right. I don't think we saw them in any other Star Trek show or movie. We hear them referenced, I think, quite often. Like, I think we actually have the star map at a certain point in TNG where it shows the border of Federation space, and it also has the Gorn hegemony border territory, doesn't it? If I remember rightly. I think we see it once or twice at least. I don't know. What was that? Nugget? Dummy? So the cat just jumped up and face planted the window. Interesting. Anyway, um, so is there anything anyone wants to point out? Any new trailers that they want me to take a quick look at, or anything like that? Because I might be up for that. We'll see. I will not watch any more about Alien Earth though, because I have my expectations, and I expect Alien Earth to be a good show. I'm looking forward to that starting on Wednesday. So yeah, and if you guys want me to, I will do a live watch party for it if you should want. It won't be immediately as it releases, because I think they will drop the first 2 episodes extremely early in the morning, probably like 2 o'clock in the morning for us in the UK. So it will be the evening after. So I mean, it'll be Wednesday evening, probably around 8 or 9 o'clock, something like that. I'll watch it. If that's something you'd like, please let me know in the comment section below. I think we're going to end it here. There's not much more to talk about. And I've just not been that great in this live, I don't think. But it is what it is. So yeah, I think we're going to call it there. And yeah, please, if you fancy supporting the channel, please do click the link in the pinned in the top of the chat. Feel free to use the tipping page to buy me a coffee if you want. Or check out the shop, the Spreadshirt shop link, where I have some interesting merch. And just a reminder, I will be shutting the Spreadshirt shop down at some point once I've finished with the new store that I've been setting up. It's going slow because you have to do each one individually on this one, and it's a bit annoying having to do it one at a time. With Spreadshirt, you put the logo up or an image up, and everything's already got it on it. Whereas with this shop, you have to pick and choose which one you want the picture on or whatever. So it takes time, and I don't want to just have like a mug and a t-shirt. There are some that just have mugs and t-shirts. I want to put a few up there so you have a few choices, that's all. But yeah, I'm going to call it there, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream. I will be doing more this week, obviously. I'll be live tomorrow to do episode 10 of Lost in Space season 1. On Tuesday, I'll be live doing 5 episodes of season 2 of Lost in Space. On Wednesday, I will be doing. No, because Alien Earth will probably be releasing on the 13th, but it will be the 14th before it be actually available in UK, I reckon. That's the way it usually goes with Disney releasing shows. So it will actually be Thursday that I'll be doing the live for Alien Earth, which is a nuisance. It's a pain in the ass. So maybe I'll do Tuesday Lost in Space season 2, 5 episodes. Wednesday Lost in Space, 5 episodes, and then Thursday. Did I say that right? No, Tuesday, yeah. And then Thursday, Alien Earth, which I think is going to drop 2 episodes. I think they will be stupid if they drop more, but you never know. It's Disney. It's Disney Plus, and yes, I know it's not on Disney Plus for most of America. I think it's on one of the other ones. I don't know which one it is because we don't have it, so why should I know? But yeah. Sorry, that was a bit loud. Okay, so until tomorrow, guys, I will say take care, stay safe, and may the Schwartz be with you always.
Quest. React with all your insight. Review what feels so right. Criticize the light. Movie shining bright. My opinion is mine. Like a never-ending call. Watch them arise and fall. Stories big and small. Screens light up the hall. I will say it all. React with all your sight. Review the day and night. Criticize is a light. Shows that steal the light. My opinion stands so free. Like a storm upon the sea. Watch them rise and fall. Stories big and small. Scars light up the hall. I will say it all. Quest. React. Review. Criticize. Quest. React. Review. Criticize. Quest. React with all your insight. Review what feels so right. Criticize the light. Movie shining bright. My opinion is mine. Like a